this show we're calling Artificial Idiocy. It's just a bunch of group of gamers talking about like a specific topic for 5 to 10 minutes or whatever. And today's topic, we're just going to talk about this whole release strategy with publishers, how they tend to not release that many hype games in like the first 2 quarters, but jam-pack everything on the third quarter. And we're kind of trying to focus on like the quarter 2 releases, I guess. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I guess we could, I guess you could start us off, Crimson King X.
All right. Well, in the second quarter, they really don't release a whole bunch of great games. They kind of tend to leave them towards the third and fourth quarter, which I don't necessarily agree with, because what are we supposed to play new in the second quarter? It leaves a lot to be had, and a developer just needs to go out there and grab it. And I think they could probably really get a good hit on their hands, because they wouldn't have to compete with such other big developers out there.
Right. But why do you think these developers are so focused on quarter 3 and not really capitalizing on quarter 2 at all, except for like licensed titles? Atobe-sama.
Well, what's your thoughts on that, Ronan?
What, the licensed titles thing?
I mean, well, it doesn't even have to be licensed. Just titles not worth mentioning usually come in, quarter 2, quarter 1. Except for maybe this year, we had some pretty big ones.
Right. I mean, I don't really know about how it was always supposed to be, because all I see is that in the last 2 years it seems to be changing so much. We're getting plenty of, I mean, at least a few big enough titles in just the first few months of the year. This March certainly seemed like a big time, and we were saying how Capcom is certainly capitalizing on the situation, how we're no longer in the flooded holiday market, and they put out 2 big titles, probably like the biggest thing they'll have all year.
Right.
Just right there in what, February and March.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. That they do have some 2 big hits that I think are coming out in about the third quarter that might give them some more leeway towards the end of it. They got what is it, that Void game? God, the Dark Void.
And I'm thinking Dark Void was my first choice.
And Lost Planet 2.
Oh, well, yeah, I had been a fan of Lost Planet, and I know the game never really took off and became really popular, but I am quite excited for a new one.
But, I mean, the Capcom seems to be at the front of leading some consistent titles all year round, and they've always really done well at that.
Okay, so maybe just if it's only Capcom like releasing some big games like in the first quarter, they have stuff all year, so it's not really an indicator of like a trend that's starting to maybe put out more games in February.
Yeah.
Right. We're not really seeing that many other companies do all year strategy kind of deal. Where it's probably the smartest idea to do it like that, instead of putting out so many games just on quarter 3.
It's true, really. Yeah. Now my only like non-Capcom examples were probably the Burnout from last year in January, and there's one other one I forget now. Well, Killzone, of course.
Well, yeah, Killzone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that was a big thing.
Killzone's big. Yeah.
We were hoping that, or like I was always thinking that the delay for it, because it felt like a delay to maybe not compete with like Resistance 2 being another big first-party shooter.
No,
and
that
could like
the official reason, actually.
Yeah. It's like official, because the way I see it, the games really shouldn't compete with each other besides just being shooters.
Right, because they're so different. But, I mean, it is kind of true, because people tend to look at them as just another FPS.
So maybe it is. So that's like another special case, and Yeah, I feel like I have reasons, but then they're just not there. There's really no trend starting now even to put out more games in January.
Right. The trend, if there is a trend, it just kind of feels really small or almost non-existent. I mean, it's better than it was, I think. I can't remember really the releases of like the later previous years that much.
Oh,
But
I wonder what you think about with Guns of the Patriots having come out last June, and
mm,
alongside there was Ninja Gaiden 2 for the Xbox, and we
Yeah.
had so those seem like two pretty big games to come out in the middle of the summer.
right.
Well, I'll tell you what. I remember going up for a midnight release for both games. I went up there for Metal Gear Solid, and of course, I just go to Walmart for all my midnight releases personally because I never see as big of a line, and
Right.
they always tend to have it at midnight. And I remember for Metal Gear Solid, the line was pretty damn big. But for a title
Okay.
like Ninja Gaiden, I think me and my buddy were the only people in line for that game, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it's been what was the original one in 2004, so it's been kind of a while for them to finally put out a sequel.
Yeah, it was enough rehashes that they did like Ninja Gaiden Black and Sigma.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's a niche game anyway, kind of. But
Uh,
Well,
always had been.
yeah, it is. Ninja Gaiden's really only for the hardcore, I would have to say. It's not very noob friendly whatsoever.
Yeah,
yeah,
the
but
sequel
but
was
it
harder.
feels like
sequel
even
made
with
me
Guns
want
of
to
the
tear my eyes
Patriots,
out.
sorry.
But I do have to say, I'm probably so much of a whore for the series that I'll probably still dish out some cash for Sigma 2. But that's probably
Really?
because I prefer the PlayStation 3 controller for my action-adventure games over
Man,
the Xbox.
I'm gonna play it, so you let me know. We'll do the co-op then. Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'll probably be left out on that, so you guys can talk about that later on.
Well,
Right.
for me, those are the games that I eat up. Everybody has their game that's just
Right.
their genre. I mean,
a good
like
action
people,
game is hard to
yeah.
find.
Yeah.